All right, everybody, I'm back. John Alite Show. Hit the subscribe button. We hit that 100,000 mark last week, and we're ready to go. Today, I got a special friend, Dennis Buzukja, on with me, and imagine I can't say your name right.
Yeah.
And really happy to have him on. Fellow Albanian, for the people who don't know, UFC fighter, hard worker, and glad to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for
Good to
having
see
me.
you, brother.
Thank you. Always good seeing you.
Yeah,
Man.
good to see you too.
Always good seeing you.
I want to ask you, because people ask me this all the time. And for the people who don't know, check out my hat and my shirt. If everybody knows, see my sweatshirt. That is a friend of mine, Art of War. That's Mike Bickerings. And I'm having trouble talking today, this morning. He puts on MMA shows out in Philadelphia, Valley Forge. Great guy.
Mhm.
I was just in the ring. People said, "Oh, you were in the ring." I said, "I wasn't fighting. I was handing the title belt to somebody." And I did a little interview. But they asked me the biggest thing, and you know, because you fought MMA, you fight in UFC, is your driving force and your dedication. What drives you?
That's an interesting question because there's so many things that drive me, but I think my biggest thing is just myself. Just to see how far I could take it and proving myself right and just pushing my limits as a man. There's other factors like money, fame, retiring my parents, things like this, making my country proud. All the Albanians around the world. But I think the biggest thing that pushes me is to wake up every day and go, yeah, represent, man. To go, choose violence and get hurt every single day is to just push my limits as far as I can and just prove myself right.
I think, and people ask me this about you, about other fighters, but I'll talk more about you because we're friends. And, my friend Sam that was with me used to fight professional MMA. And I say, I think a lot of it is, the heritage. We had a
Mhm.
fighting mentality from our country, whether we like it or not. It's
Yeah.
part of our, the drive to be successful, I think. And I think that's part of maybe what mentally that we don't even know that it's there and you just have it.
Yeah,
We,
I believe so. Yeah, I think we're stubborn people for sure. In anything we do, I think like if it's not the best, we won't accept it. It's either all or nothing for us.
Does your girlfriend say you're stubborn?
Very stubborn. Yeah, she'll tell. I could say the sky is green, and if I'm on it, I'm locked in on it. I won't
Yeah.
change my mind.
That's all right. Sometimes it's a good quality. It makes you successful.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to ask you an odd question that me and you talked about so people know. Do you know how to lose?
So yeah, me personally, I do. I don't accept it. I'm a competitor, but I know how to learn from it and move forward. Because there's a reason I didn't win. So it's either I made a mistake or the other guy did something right, and just learn from it. And as long as you go like that, you never really lose. I believe.
I think, and again, and we had this conversation for the people know why I asked that question. To be a good winner and to be success, you got to feel the pain of losing. And I'm not talking about the physical pain. I'm talking
Mhm.
about the mental pain and the frustration that,
Mhm.
that you didn't win a fight. Maybe you didn't, technically you didn't do something right. You made a mistake. You didn't train as hard as you should. You overtrained. There's a reason. So when you lose, you know what that feeling is and you never want to lose again. And that's
Yeah.
a driving force.
Yeah.
So I think any good champ knows how to lose. And you can bring up whatever fighters, Ali, you can bring up Tyson, you can bring up in the boxing world, and in the UFC, there's a
Mhm.
ton of guys that lost fights, who are greatest fighters around. You're going to lose fights.
Yeah.
Maybe you're having, people have, mental issues, whatever's going on. Fighting with your wife, fighting with your girl, and your head's not all the way in the game.
Mhm. Yeah. That's I say this game is like 90% mental, more than physical. And like you said, the greatest champions come back from losses. It's easy to be the hammer, always like winning, and it's easy to do that when everything's easy. But when you take a loss or a setback, and you have to regroup and see what went wrong, and then overcome that, and then of course the battles, like the internal battles that come from that, to come back on top and get your confidence back, it's hard, and especially in a game like this where the whole world's watching, and it's in front of the world forever. You know, that tape doesn't go anywhere. So to uh to put ourselves vulnerable in front of the world like that and to go and fight another professional elite killer, it's something different, you know, and then come back every single time and step in there. It's not easy, but I think fighting's a metaphor for life, you know, for anyone.
Whatever, no, but here's something else. You don't duck fighters. I mean, I seen you
Hmm.
take fights that I thought maybe you shouldn't take yet, and you
Yeah.
push yourself, which is a good thing. You push yourself, and you take those fights where the serious, challenging fights. I mean, for people to know, you could take a lot of gimme fights
Yeah,
and
for
build your
sure.
record up and you tear through guys, and I know
Hmm.
you don't do that, which is commendable, to
Yeah,
tell you the
thank you.
truth. And I know you work hard. How many hours a day do you train? And
4 or 5 hours, you know, hard training, 6 days a week,
yeah.
really. You know, unless my body's really beat up, I'll take a day off. But even my days off, I'm still doing some type of training. You know, maybe it's just not as intense, but my life is revolved around it. And but yeah, I could have taken much easier fights, you know, coming up. And maybe as a businessman, as a business, maybe it's not the smartest thing, but I'm a fighter at the end of the day. You know how our heart is. You know, our heart beats the way it beats for a reason. You know, again, maybe like it's the blood in us, our
Yeah.
genetics. But there's been so even my last fight, you know, like my opponent, they switched up my opponent. It was a weight class higher, completely different stylistic matchup. I could have easily said no, you know, like because I signed the contract for my weight class, and but I'm just like that, man. You know, once I make up my mind to fight or I sign a contract, like if I say I'm gonna be here this date, I'm
Yeah.
there.
Well, you just came back from Georgia, and
Yeah,
and you were with your buddy,
yeah,
and he's a great fighter. And
he's the champ now.
he's got a lot of heart,
Yeah,
and I'd never pronounce his name
yeah.
correctly either. And how do you
Marab.
Marab?
Yeah,
And people know who he is, and
yeah,
I mean, really great guy. One of the nicest. Again, another nice guy.
yeah.
And you stayed with some good fighters, champs, not good
Mhm.
fighters, great fighters, but a hard worker. He's another guy who's a very, very hard worker.
His story is unbelievable. He came from the country Georgia, I think 2017 maybe, to New York, started training, and then he had lost two in a row actually. So I think his record was like 1-2, and then he had retired because he was just like, "Yo, this isn't for me." You know, like I came here, I took this risk. I have no money, no language, no people. So he started working construction. He went to go get his Uber license and everything, and then I think he took like a year off, just working and just, you know, away from fighting. And then he met our other teammate, Aljamain, who was also the
Oh,
champ.
Aljamain's great too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I met him a
amazing
couple of
guy.
times. Yeah,
Yeah.
we took some
And
photos together, all of
yeah,
us,
yeah.
with Al.
With Al, yep,
Yeah, yeah,
yep. So then Marab got back in the gym and then he won a few fights, really locked in, uh, got to the UFC, and then he lost his first two fights in the UFC. And then that was another point where he was like, yo, is this for me? You know, should I keep going or whatever? And then same thing with the perseverance, you know, just learned how to lose.
That's why I said learn how to lose is something,
Yeah,
because once you learn how to lose, you learn how to train, and you know what you got to do to
yeah,
get where you got to get, and then you find out if you have heart.
right.
President Trump is a perfect
He's a
example.
warrior.
He's a warrior. They shot at him. They try to
Yeah.
kill him. They try to kill him again. Hit his ear. I mean, they try to kill him after that, and he just keeps coming up. And
Hmm.
guys cower. He didn't cower. He stood right
Right.
back up.
Yeah. That's when you really know what type of man he
Right.
is, you know? When
That's
you
what I
have
said.
bullets flying at your head, that's different,
A
you
completely
know?
different thing.
Yeah. And the world hates you, you know, half the world hates you, half the world loves you. This guy, he has everything, man, you
Yeah.
know? And he's older too. He doesn't have much time left to live, you know,
Yeah.
realistically, you know, like not like us, we're younger.
Yeah.
But he
Thanks
could
for
be
throwing me in the younger
no,
part.
no, I got you.
Thank you.
But he could be living his life, man, you know, on a yacht anywhere in Monaco, in Albania if he wanted
Yeah.
to. And he's sitting here fighting this battle,
Yeah.
you know. So it's
Well,
he's
he's a
a
prime
hero.
example. I mean, you look at guys as leaders. I mean, you know how many kids are looking at you like, people look at other people, but, since there's a lot of people get in touch with, that, but then there's people that know that we're good friends, and they write me and they ask me about you. So you influence a lot of kids without realizing how many kids you're influencing in a positive direction,
Mhm.
because you're taking that if you have a bad temperament, if you have somebody that need discipline, if you get in the ring and you learn all those things, and you learn to control yourself and do it in a good way in a sport
Mhm.
like you're doing, and become successful, those people want to be just like you. You're going to get people that are struggling in the street and they say, man, I want to be like Dennis. And they're going to make that move And if they watch, that's why I said it to me, it's always a good thing to watch somebody lose. And people always ask me, what? And I say, I like to see, I want to see all my friends are actually on top, but I want to see you have the discipline to know what it is to lose, to get back in the gym and then work on that jab or work on your kick or work on a ground game or work on something that's going to make sure that you don't lose again. And it's very important to see if you have that heart. And you got some good trainers. Who's training you now? Is it
Ray Longo?
yeah, Ray
Matt
Longo.
Serra.
Yeah, Matt, I know
Yeah.
Matt forever since we're young too. So I'm older than him, but since he's young and I'm young. But these guys are great guys, great trainers, knowledgeable, but personality also
Yeah.
means a lot because they teach you to respect, and which you already have, but other guys might not have. So when you're under these guys and you're with this kind of team, and you see what success is from all of them, you learn to be successful staying with successful guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a saying like, "Show me who your friends are, I'll show you your future." Right.
Yeah.
So, I two of my best friends are champions. Even Al fought Khabib for the title, so
Yeah,
they're
Al's a
great
hell of a
guys.
fighter too.
He's a dog, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, very smart guy.
yeah.
Very respectful guy. Always looking out for his friends. So
He's in real estate now. Anybody wants
yeah,
him.
Long
So you
Island
guys
real
look
estate.
out.
Yeah, get on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm blessed. I'm around good people. We all care about each other, and we all sweat together. Like, it's different when you bleed together, sweat
Yeah.
together. You're through the highs and the lows with each other. The wins and the losses. So we hold each other up. We build each other up, and when we fall, we hold each other up as well. So it's just really, it's amazing, and it gives us good support when we step into that ring. Because at the end of the day, it's a one-on-one sport, but there's so many people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That, and I know you know this, but we represent a lot when we step in there. Each and every fighter.
Yeah. Where's your next fight? When's that going to be?
I'm not sure right now. So the UFC, like, that was the last fight on my contract, and they said they're re-signing me, and they're gonna put me in when a spot like opens up, word for word, quote unquote. That really means when someone pulls out, they're gonna call me to step in again.
Right.
type
So
of
you got to
thing.
be ready at all times.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And how's your diet? What are you doing food wise?
So I have a nutritionist. I've been working with him the last 2 years. We measure out all my food, like, in between. So now in a normal schedule, in between fights, in between training camps, we like boost my metabolism back up. So I'll be eating more carbs, more protein, more volume with my food. And then so my body gets used to burning the food fast. And then when I cut down the food, it's still burning it. It's used to burning so much food. So
Right.
I eat less, but I still burn the fat
Right.
much faster. So, but right now, I just have to maintain and stay in the gym, which I always do. It's just I have to keep it a little bit more intense. And it's been crazy. Like, my UFC run, they called me in. So I won on Contender. The second time I went on, I won.
Right.
No contract. So then I went back. Usually for a lot of fighters, that's demoralizing. Like, you win, but no contract.
Right.
Dana was just in a crazy mood that day. Like, no one got a contract that night, except the last guy, Joe Pyfer. And I go back, I fight in Dubai, I get a knockout, I forgot where else. I think I fought for another title. I dominated the fight. I fought in CFFC in Jersey, submitted the guy. Every fight, I'm seeing like other fighters pull out in the UFC and still waiting for the call. I was supposed to fight this Russian dude, 17-0, Movsar. And he actually turned me down. This was supposed to be in Newark last May. 2 Mays ago, not the one that just passed, but the prior one. And then, I'm like, yo, I keep missing my shot. Like the doors keep closing. Like, they call this guy, they call that guy. Like, what's going on? So, this was another thing with the internal battles. Like, yo, should I just keep training hard? Should I go? What should I do? Like the doors aren't opening. What's going on? But I stayed my course. I stayed in the gym, stayed focused and disciplined, and eventually, they called me 3 days notice to fight Sean Woodson. He's 6'2". I had to cut 22 pounds in 3 days to make weight.
Yeah.
So that was the worst experience of my life, cutting that weight. And I went in there. I lost the decision. Went in there like.
Well, when you lose
corpse.
that kind of weight, for people that don't know too, and when you lose it fast, you're going to lose strength. You're going to be a little
Yeah.
weak.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not the greatest ideal situation when you got to cut like that.
Yeah.
So you got to take all that consideration. But what is your strongest point, do you think, in your fight game? Is it the ground game? Is it your kick? I know you got a good, and I don't know how to, because I'm not great knowledgeable with legs, but with your hands. So in equivalent to a jab, you do got because I told you that in one of your fights, you got a great jab with your leg,
Yeah.
where you go to the leg on people. Is that
Yeah.
a strong point for you? Is that one of your strong points?
I mean, I mix it up well. I would say I think my pressure, when I pressure guys and I'm putting hands on them, I think that's my strongest suit. Um, you know, it's funny. I haven't even showed my grappling in my UFC career so far.
Right,
Like I haven't even wrestled. I'm gonna start to now because it's like a big. There's like a saying also now. Knockouts, like striking gets you
right,
paid, and then wrestling wins fights. You know, because everyone wants to see the knockouts, but wrestling is the deciding factor. You know, you control the fight. So, like Marab and Aljo, they're grapplers, and
right,
they're
right.
both world champs.
Well, because
Yeah,
endurance too, and
yeah, oh yeah,
you guys that doesn't have the proper training. He doesn't have endurance. And people don't know when you're
yeah,
grappling and wrestling. And I learned that in Brazil, and I stink. But when I was on the ground and I was learning with the Gracies in Brazil, that knocks you out. And I
yeah,
was in some shape. I used to run all day on the beach on the sand, but when I got on that mat, that's a different league. And
yeah.
when you get
Different
guys,
cardio.
oh my God.
Yeah,
And if you ever
yeah.
feel like you're gonna throw up, it's there.
Yeah, oh,
You
for
know?
sure, for sure. And then when you get back up and you got to strike, and then you're getting punched in the face,
Yeah.
and then you can't take the guy down,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, then it's like, oh shit. Now, you know, like Tyson said also, everyone got a plan until they get punched in the
Punch
face,
base,
you
yeah,
know?
goes out the window.
And then you mix in the wrestling now as a striker, like perfect example is Khabib and Conor when they
Right.
fought. Striking, Conor's 10 levels above Khabib in
Right.
striking, but because of the threat of the takedown,
Yeah.
Khabib landed that overhand right, you know,
Right.
and was able to get his striking off. So that's the beauty of MMA, you know, like the better striker or the better wrestler might not win. Or even Marab when he fought Cejudo. Cejudo's a Olympic gold champ,
Right.
you know. And Marab took him down more times than he's been taken down his whole
Yeah,
career
I
in
was
that one
bragging
fight.
about that fight
Yeah.
before it happened, and then everybody was like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy you said you're friends with that you know."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh," but he's got such heart, man.
Yeah.
So and afterwards, I won all the ball bets.
Nice.
So I owe you some money, Rob.
Yeah, Marab.
But so what do you do as endurance wise to keep yourself? Because you got good endurance. I never
Mhm.
see you really winded in any of your fights. I see
Right.
you maintain. A lot of guys start blowing. They blowing wind at
Mhm.
when they especially when you're grappling a lot.
Yeah.
And when you're getting hurt, it's easy to hold that wind when you're not hurt. But
Yeah.
when you're fighting through that, what are you doing as far as
So
endurance?
I mean, I spar a lot, you know. Like for me, I don't there's like so now there's different methods, you know. Some guys they do strength and conditioning, some guys run a lot. For me, I fight, you know, so I'll get my skill. It's like a double dip for me, like two birds, one stone. I'll spar a lot and I'll get my conditioning from that, but working my skill
Right,
also, you know, because I could go run all day and do sprints,
right,
which I do also run and do
right,
sprints, you know, of course. But my main focus is really fight training and train hard so that, you know, you're tired, but you're still learning to keep the right technique when you're tired.
right, right,
So, and then also another factor is experience, you know, like you're not gonna just throw haymakers the whole time. The guy in the best shape in the world, he'll gas out in a round, just throwing bombs every second. So it's that's another beauty of fight training so much and sparring is you know when to relax your body, when to strike hard, when to, you know, squeeze hard for a takedown. So it's really experience. It's a little bit of both, but I'll get my runs in. I'll do really just hard sparring
yeah.
to get my
Well, a
conditioning.
lot of guys get hurt, who get tapped out, or they get knocked out because they're winded too.
Yeah,
You
for
make
sure.
sloppy mistakes because you're tired. You're throwing wide punches. So you see a lot of guys, and you go back to conditioning.
Mhm.
So conditioning's everything. But I agree with you. I says staying inside the ring and sparring and staying active inside the ring. I think is like you said, you get a two-pronged workout.
Yeah,
You get endurance, but then you're working on your techniques at the
right.
same time. And I think the more experience you have inside that ring
I think
is
yeah, I think experience is king because like we could just sit here right now just talking and you think of something that scares you, your heart starts racing, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
uncomfortable. Now imagine in there, you're really exerting yourself and you're nervous, you know, so it's like, you know, you spend more time in that cage. And that cage is small, man. It's claustrophobic in there.
Oh, I
So
know.
it's small. So the more comfortable you get, the more comfortable you feel and the less, you know, your heart races really.
Well, I brought that up, so it's a good point you said that. I don't know where I brought it up, but I said take a swimmer, right? That's an unbelievable swimmer. Take a marathon runner and then take a fighter. So if you take that marathon runner and you put him in a ring, all of a sudden he's not breathing the same because he's relaxed when he runs. That's his thing. You take a swimmer, an endurance swimmer, and it's the same thing. But then you take him and you put him as a runner, and that's not what he does. It's not the same thing. And it's the same thing if you throw anybody in a ring, they're not going to breathe because you get guys like, I don't know if you're young, but Too Tall Jones was a football player for the Dallas Cowboys. He was, he knew how to use his hands a little bit, and he went in the ring, and he thought it was no big deal. It was great conditioning. He was a great football player for the Dallas Cowboys. He played on the line defensively. Anyway, when he got in the ring, he said afterwards, a Spanish guy knocked him all over the ring, about 5'10", whatever he was, 6 foot, the guy. Wasn't a big guy. And afterwards, Too Tall Jones got out of the ring, and he says, you think it's easy until you get in there. And then he says, and I was a little trouble-winded. And, and this is a guy that's worked out his whole life. He was one of the top. He's not like an average athlete. He's one of the top athletes at the time. And they don't realize just what you said. Your heart, and it's not controlled breathing. It's not rhythm breathing. You're not comfortable. You're not relaxed. So you're not getting the same oxygen.
Yeah, and you're in the fire, man. You got someone taking your head off in front of you. So it's not like, you're not just doing sprints or swimming. Like you got danger in front of you.
Yeah.
This is a whole different, this sport it's like extreme chess, we call it. It's, you have to make quick decisions, but extreme consequences with them.
Yeah.
And the problem is everyone thinks they could fight too, So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can imagine, like, it's the same thing when you go on the street, right? You're in the street. They don't know who you are, especially when you're with a couple of guys, right?
Yeah,
From UFC. I mean, we've been together in different locations, and I laugh. I said, guys have no clue, who they're talking. It's funny because guys will automatically think if you're a nice guy and you're kind, that, that you're a punk.
You're soft,
you're soft. And then, and you don't want to take it to the street because this is what you do for a living. You're not looking to hurt nobody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's easy for you at this point to basically hurt most guys in the street unless they're top fighters. And top fighters don't act like that.
No, never.
They're more. They don't have no ego. They're more mellow and respectful.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that the fight game teaches. And your trainers, that's what the gentlemen, they train guys to be gentlemen. It's very important when you see parents having trouble controlling their kids when they're young. I tell them all the time. They don't got to become great fighters. Just get them in the ring for discipline reasons.
Yeah, I think every human being honestly should train martial arts. Women, jiu-jitsu for self-defense.
Right.
And I think every man at least boxing. Like learn what it's like to get punched in the face. It'll humble you real quick.
Yeah. Oh, it's not an easy thing. And even like with your father, when I'm sitting there and I talk to your dad about when you're in the ring, and as a father, watching your son, that's just.
I can't imagine how hard it is for them.
Oh
and my mom,
God, yeah.
I feel bad for them. Yeah, my dad's like, I can't not be there because I don't know what's happening.
Right.
And he's like, I even if I'm there, he's like, I can't even look because I can't handle it. So I feel bad. And then the way I fight too, I like to bang. I like to put on shows. So for the people close to me, it's hard to watch, but for the fans, it's exciting.
Yeah, for the fans, it's exciting, but it's for your parents, it's got to be. People don't realize. You see parents and they're saying like, and it's a tough sport for a parent to watch.
Yeah,
you see your kids, getting in the ring, and it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, and people really only see those, the fight, the 25 minutes, whatever it is, 30 minutes of the fight. They don't realize after, like, we're hurting.
Oh,
we're in
recovery
pain,
is,
yeah. We're in pain. Our shins are all bruised up. Like, even I fought 6 weeks ago, my ankle's still messed up from kicking his knee. I landed on his knee a few times.
I got to tell you, until I went to Brazil, I didn't have respect for kickboxing. I didn't have just regular boxing because that's what I grew up with. Wrestling, I respected. But I didn't respect the grappling until I got in Brazil and Artur Mariano. He's a 4-time Muay Thai champ. And I started watching him. He was incredible with his legs. And then I started, hanging around with the Gracies, with their cousins and this and that. And then, man, you learn to humble yourself because, I was in great shape. I was young. I was always in the ring. And then I got my ass kicked all over the place. And the recovery of, after that, at the time I was like 39 years old. And the recovery, you can't recover. I mean, it's very difficult to get slammed all over the place at that age. And, and they're going easy on you too, because, they're just trying to teach you, but, they're still taking you down. and that they're grappling with your exhaustion. Meanwhile, I'm running every day,
Right.
and so then you really learn for a new respect for a sport that because in my era we didn't grow up with it. We only grew up with boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we didn't know much about it. As you're learning more and more as it is, I'm saying, wow, these guys are in crazy shape.
Yeah.
These guys are, and to get hit with those kicks, that's another thing.
Yeah, like the thing that tires us the most out, I would say, is taking the damage.
Yeah.
Like getting, like you said, getting kicked or knees to the stomach hurt like hell or elbows in the face, they're damaging shots. Like nothing wins you more than taking damage.
Oh, yeah. When you go to the body, just at the MMA thing at the Art of War the other day, they had one of the guys was for a champion fight, and he had him on the cage, and he had his whole rib exposed, and he was kneeing him. And guys don't realize what, first he's in great shape to take that beating. But afterwards, I said, this guy's going to be hurt tomorrow. You can't. He hit him 3, 4, 5 knees in a row, but bad. And then finally he went down and he was grappling with him and he submitted him. But to take that abuse to your body like that with those knee shots is...
it's crazy, Yeah, knees are hard, and our ribs are soft and it's bone on bone. You have the liver there and your diaphragm. It's
well, my
really
friend
hard.
Prince Badi, when he was fighting years ago, he fought Roy Jones Jr. In the first round, he almost had Roy knocked out. And then he kind of peated the second, third round, and he started getting beaten. I'm like, why isn't he fighting? And we don't know. Roy Jones hit him to the kidney.
Oh.
And he bursted his kidney during the fight.
Oh, shit.
And then he was in the hospital after for a couple of days. But you don't realize those body shots. People don't realize, the shot. Everybody's always going for the head. Everybody's going for the knockout punch to the head. But those body punches are devastating.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the fight business, you start learning. If you're a good body puncher, you're going to put guys like Marvin Hagler was one of the greatest body punchers around. The guy was great to the body. But you know what better than anybody because you're training. And that's why I said the training is more of your life now.
Yeah.
It's just a way of you live.
Yeah, it's 24/7. The way I eat, sleep, hydrate. Even the stuff I put into my head. I could play video games all day or stay on TikTok or something, or maybe, go fuck around weekends at the club or something. But it's if you really want to do something and get to the UFC and make a name for yourself, it has to be your life. Even like I said, outside the gym, what you consume mentally. I'm always watching fights. I'm studying, high level fighters. Seeing how they do things. I'm watching other guys how they train. It's just my life. Like, McGregor said one time too. He has a PhD in hand-to-hand combat. Like,
right.
That's kind of how I look at it. Also, like this is my college degree. I have like a PhD in fighting also. So if you don't have it like that, if you're not thinking like that, then it's not. Everyone has to think like that in the sport. Of course, only a few will make it to the top. But if you don't, then you have no business being in it at all.
But I got a lot of friends and fighters, professional, amateur fighters, professional fighters, kids that I stay in touch with. You see on my pages. I try to push them, help them.
Yeah.
By the way, Austin was a great victory the other day. I got to give a shout out to him and his dad. He's on my page. Anybody that wants to check him out. A young kid, really works out great with his hands. And there's some other fighters that are on there. The sniper, I won't say hello to him. But I've been saying this for years to you, and I've been saying to everybody else. It's a prediction because I won't say this unless I believe it. I think you're going to be a champ. I've always said that because of your dedication, your mental strength, and your physical, the way you work out and train. It, to me, is everything, and you know how to lose. And that's going to make you such a winner because when you win, you're very humble. And when you lose, you go back to the gym and you work on things. And guys that lose, a lot of guys quit. They just want to give it up. And it's one of the things Trump talked about in one of his speeches. Don't quit ever. And he goes through a litany of things. And it doesn't matter what anybody says. Continue. Yeah. You know that you're going to be great. You know that you are great. You know that you're going to be successful. And there's going to be things that happen. Cutting weight is part of the game. Even though you don't want to take the fight, it's part of it. Even though it's not fair in a lot of ways, but that's the game. And that's not going to change your talent. It's just, it'll take you to the next level. It's just one more experience that you learn.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
For that prediction, I should say.
I mean, I told my other friend
Yeah.
he's got and I won't mention his name. I just said I don't think he has it.
Mm.
I go, I'm not going to lie and tell, as one of his managers was talking to me. He says, what do you think? I said, he doesn't have it. He's got a weak jab. He's got to work on it. He's too slow. He's too, the weight he's got to take off.
Mhm.
I mean, he lacks speed. He doesn't have that killer instinct. It's just my opinion of
Yeah.
it, being around the sport since I'm a kid. I've been around famous guys that were fighting like Jerry Cooney. We did some radio shows together over the years, and I know him. We were in the same gym. I seen winners. And I'm telling you, I believe that about you since I
Thank
seen you, the way you work out, the way you train, the guys you surround yourself with. It's important.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I always said, like, I'll take it as far as I can, and I believe I will be champ also. There's no reason not to, like I've lived with two champs,
Yeah.
and they're human, and there's really no difference between them and me. It's just, I think, really just time. I think just time will tell, and every day that passes, I'm just getting better. So I just turned 27, so I'm still very young in the game.
Yeah. Happy birthday. I know
Thank
it's
you.
your birthday.
Thank you,
right?
man. Yeah, thank you.
Perseverance is everything.
Yeah,
You just
it's like
gotta
water.
continue. Yeah.
It's the strongest thing in the world because of perseverance.
Yeah.
And as long as we don't give up, I think the only thing that could stop anyone is themselves.
Yeah.
Really. And if you look at all success stories, everyone's had multiple setbacks, multiple, like horror stories in their life, and they found a way to persevere. And there's another saying that I love. It's the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
I love that saying.
Well, that work does. It brings you luck. It brings you success.
Yeah.
How about when you were in Georgia? Did a lot of guys know you there when you were?
They
went
did
out?
actually, yeah, they
I
did.
figured that. I know.
Yeah, they did. And then also in France, there was like more than I thought. Like a good amount of Albanians came up to me, took some pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
One kid had me as his lock screen
Oh, okay.
on his phone, so that was.
That's
pretty
why I
cool.
said it's pretty cool when you're a big influence to people because you don't realize it.
Yeah, I didn't, until and then because we're so used to being in our place, and then when you go outside to somewhere you've never been, and then people recognize you and take pictures and really look up to you. It's not like they just recognize you, but like a lot of these Albanians really look up to me.
Yeah.
And it reminded me also how much this means to me also as fighting and representing Albania. Like technically, we had Ilir Latifi in the UFC,
Right.
But me,
he's a great guy, by the way.
he's
I wanna say hello.
amazing. He's
such
amazing.
a gentleman. He stays in touch with me.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And people brought this up to me. Like technically, in Albanian borders, I'm the first Albanian UFC fighter. Because he's from technically Kosovo.
Yeah.
Even though obviously for us, he's Albanian.
Right.
No question. But people were saying like technically in modern day borders, I'm the first Albanian. So a lot of these kids look up to me, and even older people who are prideful, and everyone who's prideful, they really look up to me, and it's I'm blessed. So it just gives me more gas, like more fuel in the tank to keep working hard.
Yeah. Well, just remember, I always have that front row seat for me.
Yeah, no question, bro.
Hey, it's funny when we're sitting up front. People usually see me. I'm kind of chill. When I go to your fights, I'm screaming the whole time. And you can't hear everybody in that ring. You can't help yourself though, because you're trying to.
Yeah, the adrenaline.
Yeah, trying to. And I laughed at the last one was a couple of fights back when I was with your father and I was telling you, you can't hear a fucking thing. Excuse my language. You can't hear a thing we're saying anyway. But you're zoned out. You don't hear anything.
I only hear my coaches.
Right.
I hear my opponent's coaches.
Yeah.
And just the ref. Really.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else, there's nothing. Nothing else exists.
Yeah.
It's complete tunnel vision.
It's funny. Well, you have how people find you on your Instagram and Facebook and everything?
It's just my name on everything, really. Dennis Buzukja, Dennis Buzukja. That's my handle on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
All right, everybody look for him when he gets that title because he's gonna get it. I know he's gonna get it, not because he's my friend, it's just because of hard work. And any kid that's listening to this, it's about hard work. And I really appreciate you coming in and I'm going to be around to watch this ride. You're gonna,
Thank you.
And I know you're gonna. I already know what you're gonna do. You know, you're a winner, and that's in your genes and
Thank you, brother.
Albanian blood.
Albanian blood, man.
So,
We don't stop.
No, I appreciate you coming
Thank
in.
you.
and
Thank you
coming
for
to-
having me, bro. I always
Anytime you want to
appreciate
come
time
back,
with you.
man, you come back.
Thank you, John.
We got to go out to dinner soon.
Yeah.
I'll be in Kosovo for people who are looking for me, by the way, next month. I'm filming a new movie there, so I'll be in Peja and I'll be in Pristina. I'll see you all. Clicks, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys soon.